Are even well-qualified buyers struggling to get mortgages because of the subprime hysteria? Our Fox panel back again to talk about it. Peter Schiff, first to you. What do you think? Is it really infected everybody now?
It's going to. First, let me just say something real quick. You know, you guys are giddy about the stock market. You know, the stock market, the Dow would have to be up. We're not giddy,
but we're not sad about a plus stock market.
It would have to be up 600 points today just to be even with the price of silver. The Dow is collapsing.
And the price of gold would have to be $2,000 an ounce to be equal to the price it was back in 1980.
I'm talking about today. I'm not talking about 1980. But let me get to the topic of subprime, because, you know, I saw this problem coming from a mile away. I told everybody who would listen, I screamed it on television that this was a problem. I helped my clients short subprime mortgage before anybody on television was talking about these triple B right minus tranches. We shorted them. This is not a subprime problem. This is much more pervasive. This is a mortgage problem. It's the entire mortgage market that's in trouble. And a lot of people are worried about the problems going from Wall Street to Main Street. They're already in Main Street. The reason that Wall Street is in trouble is because Main Street can't pay these loans back. Okay. And because people's houses aren't worth anywhere near what they think they were. If home prices were still as high as the government tells us, there wouldn't be a problem.
Let me jump in and ask Gary Kaltbaum if he thinks that at least we're seeing now, if the home builders are showing some 20% down for Hovnanian, does this mean that the shaking out is soon to be over, or is there much more ahead?
I think there's much more ahead. Look, the lenders have gone from one idiotic extreme to the other idiotic extreme. They were dropping money out of helicopters onto people, giving $250,000 loans to people that don't even work or have any net worth. Now they refuse to give money to people that have a ton of money, and that's what's doubly hurt in the market. By the way, Hovnanian down 20. You should see what other companies are doing. I'm seeing 40s and 50s. I don't believe we're even close to a shakeout. In my studies of bear markets and housing, it does not take 2 years, and due to the fact that we had the biggest extreme speculation ever, I think this has got a few more years to go.
I agree, and it doesn't matter, you know, about how credit quality or how good a borrower is. The houses are overpriced. Why anybody would lend anybody money to buy a house at today's market, because the housing price.
All right, guys, we're not going to allow you to step on the toes of the ladies who've been waiting by patiently to talk. Victoria, are you as gloom and doom as these guys?
Not as gloom and doom. I don't know what more gloom and doom would sound like, frankly. But here's what I think matters. What matters is the holiday season. This is the true test of the American consumer. And has the housing market spilled over? What everyone is wondering is, do people feel less wealthy because their houses are worth less? And will that show up at Walmart, at Target, at Williams-Sonoma this Christmas?
That'll have nothing to do with the housing market whatsoever. The problem with housing now,
wages are holding up.
We got the most massive inventory build in the history of time in housing, and it's continuing to get worse, combined with restrictive lending. And by the way, for me, doom and gloom, I just deal with facts and what's in front of me. If things were better, I'd be glad to tell you that.
Gary and Peter are realistic? Right. I mean, think about it. You know, we've had a situation with these homes that is now pretty serious.
Right. You know, you're in a corrective phase for real estate, and the subprime lending problem exacerbates everything. I think that if you look at the price of housing in many areas of the country, they doubled in 5 and 6 years. So if there's a correction today and your house is not worth what its all-time high was, well, you might think the same of your stock portfolio at varying times. Your house is not just your investment. Your house is where you live. So you have to, it really serves two purposes. And Victoria has it absolutely right. Housing is linked to the Christmas season. She's absolutely correct in that regard. Many, but not all Americans, but many Americans do use their house as a piggy bank. And to the extent that they need to dip into their house for the purchase of the next car or the purchase of a college tuition bill, there's going to be some trouble here.
Well, yeah, Victoria, you know, the markets do climb these walls of worry, and it seems like it's doing so exactly that today.
Yeah, what's hard to tell is if it's really a wall of worry and that deserves to be climbed. The market has done remarkably well, even amidst high oil prices, dropping home prices.
No, it hasn't.
But what's important is that, you know, wages have stayed constant. We've got remarkably low unemployment, and we've got economic growth for now.
Peter,
the economy is holding up.
I'm looking at Hovnanian, just to pull this name up. It's down about 2%, about 2 1/3%. And I know exactly what he's going to say, but I just want to see his reaction. Would you pick up any of these names as they appear to be getting cheaper?
They're not. Look, you know what? Most of them are going to go to zero. They're going to go bankrupt. These companies are in serious trouble. There's no reason to buy them. Home building, no one's going to build any homes in this country for at least a generation. We've got too many homes. That's one problem that we don't have. No one's going to be homeless. We've got all sorts of homes. The problem is people aren't going to be able to afford to repair them. They're not going to be able to afford to heat them. They're not going to be able to afford to fill up their refrigerators with food. These are huge, huge problems that we're having. You know, we've got a glut of houses. But, you know, the problem is we had that big run-up in home prices. Americans still don't understand that all those gains are gone. In their minds, they still think their house is worth twice what it was 5, 6 years ago. It's not. In many cases, it's worth less. If you actually tried to sell it, you would get less than you paid 5, 6 years ago. But people have all kinds of mortgage debt that they've piled onto these homes. Your home equity goes away, but your mortgage debt is still there.